Let's begin by noticing, asking a question actually. How would you ever see an illusion that by definition is unseeable, and you believe it to be true, from the level of consciousness or awareness or mindset that created it in the first place? How would that ever happen? How would you ever see the illusion? I see a bunch of blank faces. Like, we know the foggiest idea. Well, most people don't, actually, so you've got a lot of company. But it's really a pivotal question. It's a tough job to see the unseeable. Not so easy. How would a fish know it's in water? Well, what's water? It's always been swimming in water. That's all it knows, right? Or if you've been wandering in the desert, what's sand? That's all you've ever known is sand. You can't see sand. That's your life. That's your world. So we're going to call upon a trusty resource, one of the brighter people of the last century, by everyone's estimation, a guy named Albert Einstein, who had two riveting insights that might be helpful for us. And one is a quote of his that says, "Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." What is Albert talking about? Well, the world we see is actually mitigated, or we see through these lenses, right? These eyes, and specifically the lenses of our egos. And so everything is sort of tainted by it. So we really don't get to see the world as it is. We get to see the ego's lenses or versions of the world. And I'll talk more about what ego is all about and different forms it takes, if you will. 4 different forms, actually. But essentially, the world we see is a projection of our past conditioning, of everything we've been exposed to, and essentially all the survival decisions we've come up with, beliefs, thoughts, the assumptions, the way we think the world actually operates. And so do we see the thing in itself at all? And the answer is obviously not. Plato, actually, drawing upon some background in philosophy, I got my bachelor's in philosophy, UC Irvine a few years back. The allegory of the cave is a very famous one, where we don't see the things themselves, we see the shadows in the cave. It's kind of like the same thing. So how do we get to see the thing in itself? How would that ever happen? Again, tough job. So children live inside illusions all the time, don't they? And you all know something about children here. You're either in the process of bringing forth children, or you have children, or you have some new children, or you're looking to have children, or you were once a child yourself. So one way or another, you've been around children, whichever way you cut it. And there's plenty of them in the room even right now as I gaze upon you. But children live inside sort of a fantasy world of illusion, don't they? Well, Santa Claus, you've heard of that, right? The Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, don't forget the Tooth Fairy. And we have superheroes like Batman and Superman, and Pokemon are still very big. My son was big on Power Rangers, particularly the Green Ranger. I don't know what was about the Green Ranger, but he's almost 23, and we still have a cardboard cutout of the Green Ranger in our garage. Don't ask. I mean, where does that come from, you know? And then, riding around on electric cars or boats, but they're on rails. Now the parents know that, but do the kids know that? No, they don't. But at some point, they do know that, and all of a sudden the ride isn't so much fun anymore, because they're not really steering like they thought they were, right? Which is a beautiful metaphor, actually, for all our lives. Little do we know it, of course. That's just for children, right? That doesn't apply to me. No. And once the illusion is seen through, or exposed or revealed, it's just not quite the same again, is it? Can't go back home again. Everything's changed. And actually, it's a good thing, because the illusion was never real in the first place. That's why we call it an illusion. Looking it up in the dictionary, it tells you, first definition, not real. First thing it says, not real. The great danger, of course, is all the illusions that remain undetected, ones that we think are still real, and we operate as if they're real, but they're not real. Well, what's going on here? Well, that's really interesting. And so the opportunity is to be, and this may not sound very much, in fact, you may not even like hearing it, disillusioned. It's really a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's really a good thing. I would stay away from massive disillusionment like 9/11. That was a bit much for any of us. But if you keep it in the mild to moderate range, it's really great because that's where you learn. It's a little painful. It's a little bit difficult. Most people don't care for it too much. But when they see the reality on the other side of it, they have a smile. It's really kind of lovely, you know. Oh, that's what it is. Ah, I got it. You know, it's sort of a joy of discovery, of unfolding some facet of reality you hadn't seen the moment before that you see in this moment. Pretty cool, right? So, the second thing Einstein recognized is that what he called the problem, which is just something our mind makes up and calls it a problem, that's really all it is. But he said a problem cannot be resolved or solved at the same level of consciousness that it was formulated at. Really a very brilliant statement. So it requires you to be at some different level of consciousness or awareness or maturity, or call it whatever you will, to solve the issue, because if you address it at the same level it was created at, you're not going to find a way through that, are you? And you probably all had that experience a lot of times, right? How come I can't get through this? Well, and then somebody comes along, well, you have to do it like this. And you say, how'd they do that? It's like magic. Well, they came from a different level of consciousness. They saw things differently. That's all. And you know what? That different level of consciousness, that shift in consciousness, is precisely what this talk is really all about. That's it. That's pay dirt. And that's what I'd love to see you have a real and palpable experience with tonight that actually you don't ever get over, at least conceivably. Right? Be kind of cool, right? It's far too simple, I know. And it really is, folks. It really, really is. And by the way, I came across another thing of Albert Einstein which amazed me. It was a quote I never found. I'm familiar with most of his quotes and come across them many times, but this one I'd never come across. It was astounding. And I figured if anybody who can talk about the 5 ascending levels of intelligence, it would be Albert. I think Albert can talk about this one. I don't think too many people can. I think Albert can hold this one, you know? So the 5 ascending levels of intelligence, according to Albert Einstein. Not me, according to Albert. Smart, intelligent, I think it was bright or brilliant, I'm not sure. Genius, on the highest level. Are you ready for a drum roll? Simple. Simple.